Welcome to A Righteous Woman. I am your guest host, Abish, and around me or beside me, wherever they are on your screen, are some beautiful women. If you could just wave out, we have Gladys, Irene, Saini, and Fussy. So if you're new to this channel, we are ordinary Polynesian women trying to live our best life, learning from our mistakes, triumphs, trials, all of that. And we just share things that we go through. And hopefully tonight we will be able to share something that resonates with you, even if it's just one of you. If you have anything to say, type it down the bottom. We would love to hear from you. Love some feedback. So yeah, we'll be looking to see what you're going to write to us. But last week our episode was on, what was it on? Pussy? What was it on?
Clara?
It's okay to want things.
It was on being okay, or wanting more in life and being okay with it. And if you watched it, you can probably say it in better words, but we did have a challenge, and the challenge was to decide what you want in life and make sacrifices to get there, design an action plan, and get to work. So if you did have any feedback on that, if you did do that challenge, we'd love to hear from you. So today's topic is forgiveness. So forgiveness is a really big topic. So hopefully we can delve into some goodies today and things that will resonate with our viewers, but also us as a panel, because I know this is a part of our life. It's a part of the world, but we'll probably go around, starting with Saini. Just a short, quick fire answer. What comes to your mind when you think of forgiveness? So we'll go Saini, Irene, Gladys, and then Fussy.
Okay. What comes to mind when I think of forgiveness is humility. Being humble enough to forgive. Especially if you didn't get an apology. Yeah.
Oh, wow. When I think of forgiveness, I think of healing.
Healing?
Healing from the hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's me, yeah. I think for me it would be strength.
Like that.
I think for me, I would say empathy.
Very nice.
Nice.
I think for me it would be power. So forgiveness. Where to begin?
Oh, well, then I'll start, eh? Let's leave it to the old grandma to start, guys. I'm all good to do that. Okay, so I'm going to share something that happened to me, and it took me about 2-3 years to literally get over it. So being in leadership in our church, let's just say I've been hurt by people from church, but nothing like this. When the minute that you get called to do that specific calling, they straight away question you. They straight away question your motives, straight away question, are you even real? Like, are you even worthy? And that happened throughout the 4 years that I was serving in that calling, to the point where I was literally serving by myself, guys, like, you know. And with all that kind of stuff that happens comes gossip, you know. I had to literally learn and teach myself, like when I was in that leadership taught me to be humble, taught me to love people that hated my guts. I'm just being real. And I didn't even know why they hated my guts. Some people don't like the way that I am because I'm very straight up. I'm very forward. I don't apologize for it because it's made me thick-skinned that way. My experiences that I've had that have been really, really hurtful towards myself, not just myself, but my family. And that's something that I've had to learned to, man, it took me 2-3 years to forgive those people. And how I went about it, put that aside, the hurt that they did to me, it was my journey to finding that forgiveness, because I became a bitter person. And I hid that hurt from my family, but they could feel it. They could see it, even though I tried so hard to hide it. And because of that, I knew I had to find a way to deal with it and get over it, because it was literally bringing me down, like to the point where, I don't know if anyone's experienced this, but even your outward look my outward look was looking ugly. You know what I'm saying? And I could feel the ugliness. And that was because I didn't find it in myself to forgive those people. And it's, for me, I'm not here to badger those people or whatever. The things that happened to me was real. I never thought that being, okay, I don't even know if it's even right what I'm saying, but I never thought that people who claim to be churchy and loving could be like that. Like, I'm just being honest. People that I thought were my friends were not actually my friends. And I got some great counsel from my own patriarch in my home. And so in our church, we go to the temple. I took it to the temple. That was my healing source. Even though it took 2-3 years, I couldn't face these people. Like, I'm being serious. I legit couldn't face them. And it really kind of like, I was working in the temple. Like, I served in the temple, and I felt that ugliness, and I felt that it was wrong because of where I was serving. If you guys understand that?
Yeah.
And one day, the pin dropped for me. I'm like, I can't serve like this. I've got to do something about it. I wanted to get over it, guys. I wanted to get over that hurt, that the hate started to fester in me. I needed to get over it. I really needed to get over it because I wasn't serving properly. So it's true when they say, get down on those two things they call the knees and actually really ask what it is that you really want, your heart desire. That heart desire of mine was to forgive every single one of those people that hurt me that bad, to the core of my heart, where I was literally like, to the point where I just wanted to slap them, but I didn't. But it took me 2 years, 3 years, because I had to actually grow more, ladies. I did. It humbled me, man. Like, I'm telling you, to the point now that these people that hurt me are like some of my closest friends, because I learned to forgive. And I knew that I had, because when I thought I had forgiven, I hadn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, yeah, I forgive you, but I hadn't forgiven them because I still had that hurt in me. Yeah? Does that make sense? So what happened to me after that was 3 years later, I was in the temple, and then boom, this one particular person who always had an issue with me. I don't understand why. I couldn't face that person. But then when it came to that one Saturday in the temple, that's all I asked Heavenly Father was, please, Heavenly Father, I want to be able to face that person, and I have that deep love for that person again like I used to. And you know, usually when I see that person, I'd run the other way. I'd literally ignore that person. That Saturday, that person came towards me. I was like, oh my gosh, she's coming towards me. What am I going to do? You know what? I literally just cried and I hugged her, and she did the same thing. And then these words came out of her mouth. I couldn't believe it. She's like, sister, I'm so sorry. And I just want you to know that I love you. And I just broke down. Like, I don't know how to explain it when you know that that's the Lord's hand that has had in that forgiveness. My heart was literally full. I'm being serious, of this love for her. I can't even explain it. But man, I tell you, that's how I knew I had literally forgiven those people, because now I can face them and we're all good. You know what I'm saying? So that, yeah, That was a journey for me. Took 3 years, ladies, but I got there.
Yeah, I think you touched on so many important things. Like a lot of times we may say, oh yeah, I forgive you or I forgave that person, but deep down inside, we are still holding on to these things. And sometimes forgiveness takes a couple years. Like it's so true. And it does, if you are still holding on to those things, I so understand when you're like, I started to feel like an ugly person, and even on the outside, that has happened to me as well. If you're holding on to these things, like it changes the person you are, and not for the better. It starts to change you for the worse. When people are hating on you, or they're saying these things, it's not really about you. It just says more about what that person is, who that person is, and what that person may be going through. And that's just who they are, and what they're going through is just a reflection of what they're saying to you. And so yeah, we just need to mind our own business, like Sandy was saying, and like keep moving on. But yeah, if we have done something wrong, yeah, we gotta take that path.
I think I can also share, I've also been on the other end of that, where I had to ask for forgiveness as well. And can I just say, it's hard. It's hard to humble yourself to that level, to really dig down deep and ask for it and actually really mean it. Yeah, just, yeah.
It's so true. Like I guess not reacting or responding, that's a whole level of restraint, self-control in itself. But I know that the reward in the end is so much greater in the end. Like for me, forgiveness is I could say forgiveness for me, there's been a really major one where I've been able to be taught that in order for me to really, truly, truly forgive somebody, I need to forgive. I don't know how to put it in a sense. Like for example, with me, I think another word that stands out is pride. Sometimes we let that pride get to our head, or we're too stubborn to apologize or say I'm sorry. And I relate this to let's say, for example, like you ladies before mentioned, I too myself, I always pray daily, and I ask God to help me build a better relationship with those who hate me or my enemies. I pray to soften their hearts so that I can be able to find the strength to be able to be closer to them. And like you guys mentioned, I guess a lot of the times with me, I have been on this ongoing healthy, wanting to live a more healthy, productive life. And so part of those goals, I was, recording, I was posting up stuff about my fitness journey and my health journey. And I know I haven't reached that goal, but I know along the way, I was affected. I was really affected by some of the comments that were made. And, and like Zane mentioned earlier, it was all just, unnecessary comments that were made, like, oh, she thinks she's working out, but she's still fat, or she's still big, or, just little negative things, or like, who the heck works out with eyeliner on, or like with makeup. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is my journey. I'm going to do what I want. And if I'm going to work out with lipstick, eyeliner, that's none of your business. That's how I'm going to get through that workout session. And I know, although this journey is not going to be a hard and fast, quick one, like an overnight or an over week period, I'm one to try all these different products or try new things. Anything that's got to do with investing in my health, I'm all for it. And so I've come to realize and come to terms that it doesn't matter how, I've forgiven those people who've made those comments. I've just kind of I just don't care. I know that's a really a harsh way of putting it, but I've just come to terms where I'm only going to focus on myself. Whatever your opinions are of me, that's a perspective that you have of me. I can't change that, but I'm going to do me. And a lot of the time, sometimes we do let it get to us. It does get overbearing at times. And I think with me, also touching base on forgiveness, I have to forgive my husband every single day because he annoys me, you know. And it's just those little things. And I find that I'm a better person. I grow. The relationship between me and him is strengthened when we're quick to say, hey, look, I'm sorry. I know half the times, like, you know, I can be a handful to work with too, but I think that if you are bold enough and if you have that strength to be able to forgive somebody or say just the simple words, hey, look, I'm really sorry. You know, I didn't mean it in that way, you know, because behind everything that someone says, it's a persona of what they think of themselves, and then they try to project it on you, or, you know, to make you feel bad about yourself, when really you're not the problem. It may just be something that they're going through. And with me, I just try to understand, you know, maybe they're having a bad day and that's why they made that comment. But I'm not going to let that determine my whole entire day and make me think negative or hate them. Like I mentioned before, I think it was a previous episode, I was able to forgive people who hurt me when I became a mother. And it was because, you know, I wanted to be a good example for my daughter. And, you know, and I felt that in order for me to lead by example, I needed to be able to forgive people who had done me wrong and become a better person. I wanted to teach her that, so that she knows that, you know, this is a cruel world we live in. There will be a lot of people who will throw shade at you, people who you think are your friends, but they will disappoint you along the way in life. And I wanted her to know that it's okay. You don't have to scoop down to their level. You can be better than that. Kill it with kindness. I find that always works too. You know, when you're mad at somebody or somebody's mad at you and then you say like, oh, hi, how's your day? It really irritates them. I find that they get more annoyed, but then like, I'm not bothered by it because I'm just being me, you know, I'm just a very happy, cheerful person. And
I got a question, Gladys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you killing with kindness because you mean it or because you know it's going to annoy them?
A little bit of both, I could say. I
like that.
I think I do it intentionally. I probably do it both, but then I'm generally a happy person. Like, you know, I will probably hate that person or probably get annoyed, and then end up eventually there comes a situation where I'm going to have to meet them face to face, and then I am myself, and then I get to know them. I kind of go out of my comfort zone, and then build a good relationship with them. And then I become really good friends with them. And so I find that, you know, killing it with kindness in that sense. Like, I am maybe not genuine at the start, but then eventually along the way, it has helped me build a better relationship with them. I don't know if that makes sense, but help.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks for that confusing question.
Sorry, that's just something that came to mind because I know that annoys people that don't like you is when you go up to and talk to them and be nice to them.
But that's me. Like, hi.
Because, you know, the show is called A Righteous Woman, right? That's what came to mind was that I want the viewers to know that there's no perfect person on this panel.
That's right.
We've all been through our fair share of trials and stuff, but something about forgiveness is that how do we handle it when it's our close family and friends?
Oh.
Take it away, Pussy.
That's a good one. That's a good question.
Abish is like, excuse me, you're not the host.
Just take over. Thank you.
I just wanted to say to Gladys, I really liked what she said when you, once she had your daughter, then that made it easier for you to forgive. Is that correct, Gladys?
Yes, definitely.
You know how I shared that I felt really ugly and I was getting, and then I was becoming really bitter as well. It took my oldest daughter, one time we had a lesson and I didn't realize that I was talking really harsh. then she pulled me aside, and my daughter just finished her mission. Man, she's gonna watch this and go, Mom, what the heck? But my daughter humbled me, because she's always known that when I serve wholeheartedly, and I love serving no matter where I am in the church. And so she pulled me aside. This is after Sunday lesson, and she said, Mum, what are you doing? And I'm like, feel hard. I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? And she's like, Mum, what are you doing? It's not like you. And you know what, Gladys, when you mentioned your daughter, it reminded me that sometimes the way that we are when it comes to trying our best to be forgiving, and our journey to that, it affects the people that we love around us, you know, and it affected my family. And that's something that really pushed me to find that forgiveness and really mean it. And like you said, you know, that saying that you said, kill them with kindness. And then Saini asked the question, is that for real? You know, because that's what happened to me. I wasn't for real. Took a long time. And in the process, it's a process. Forgiveness is a process that you go through. I can't speak for any of you or anybody out there, but I can only talk about what I went through and the process that I went through. It was a long process. Never thought it was going to happen. Like, I was like at my wit's end sometimes and questioning Heavenly Father and saying, come on, Lord, I mean, I can't keep going like this. I just can't. I'm such a bitter person, and I'm not like that. Anyone that knows me, I smile all the time. I'm like always happy. But when your own child tells you, you know, straight to your face that it's not a good look, you know, then that there's something wrong with you, not with it, you know. And I was grateful for her because she, you know, put me in my place, so to speak. But like I said, ladies, everyone is different. I like that, Saini. We're not perfect, you know. We have our struggles, our journeys, different things that goes on in our lives. But this is a topic that's, wow, it can be really touchy.
I have a question. Do you ladies find it easier to forgive your friends and your family as opposed to strangers or complete random people, or do you find it easier to forgive others, like strangers, over your family? Like, just posing the question out there.
Oh, wow. That's a good question, sis.
I think it depends on what happened, like the situation. But also sometimes if it is your family, it hurts a lot more because they're supposed to, you know, love you and never hurt you kind of thing. Family over everything, and then they hurt you. Yeah, I guess it depends on the situation, but sometimes when family hurts you, it is like quite hurtful and hard to forgive because it cuts deeper.
I'm like enjoying listening to your guys' comments, but I feel like I haven't said anything because what I'm thinking about is like very different to what has been talked about. So I feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say anything. The first thought I was thinking about was, how does God do it? How does he forgive everybody over and over again and never get sick of giving us chances? Because I think I have a limited, like, it's like my limit is 4, and if you pass 4, I'm not forgiving you after that. But how does God do it infinite times? And how do I get on that level? Because I feel like I don't want to say anything because I don't want to share anything because it's all too sensitive for me. And it's not even I didn't say anything because I wasn't even thinking about forgiving others. I think for me, the biggest struggle is to forgive myself. And when Sammy said, yeah, no one's perfect, I was like, oh yeah, let's not talk about that one. Like, I feel like, and I didn't realize this until maybe last year, that I shared with a good friend of mine. There are experiences that are very sacred to me that I would talk about. It doesn't, and I'm usually quite open. Like, I will, if I feel it's right to share, I will. But there are some things I just like not in that category. And for the first time in years, like I'm talking like more than 10 years, um, it was the first time in that long period of time that I could actually open up to someone and share something that was very sacred to me. And I didn't realize until I could, one, speak about it, because it'd been like unspeakable stuff for so long, that until I could speak about it, that I hadn't forgiven myself. Like, it's like God had forgiven me a long time ago, but I couldn't forgive myself. And in a lot of ways, I was still beating myself up about mistakes I'd made in the past that I regretted. And because of that, I didn't realize it was holding me back. And I couldn't, because I hadn't processed that, I couldn't move on from it. And it seemed ludicrous to me, because if God can forgive it, why couldn't I? Why was I holding, like, and that's why I couldn't say anything prior to this, because I didn't know how to bring that up, like, and talk about my problem is myself. My struggle is more not with other people. It's more with internal, like, how do I find the strength to let go of those things? And my comment about forgiveness is that it's not just that I struggle. I think it's a struggle to forgive yourself, or forgive myself, or forgive yourself for things you regret, like, but also that in terms of forgiving in general, and this is what I was thinking about, was that God doesn't just forgive us, but he forgets it. And that's the thing that is hard. I think I'm gone past the point of forgiving myself, but I haven't forgotten that like, it's hard to forget. And I think for me, true forgiveness is that I find it easy to forgive other people. And that's why when I said empathy, I think it's because I have a lot of empathy, because I often can relate to what people talk about. And I find it easy to forgive them, but I find it hard to forget. And I don't, in my personal opinion, I haven't really forgiven them if I can't forget it. If I see that person, and what triggers when I see them is that experience that I had that was a negative one, and I haven't forgotten that, then I haven't forgiven them. So to me, that's the mark of true forgiveness for me, is if God can forget it, then I should learn to too. But it is incredibly difficult. And so I've come back from relationships with friends, with people in my life where I thought that I couldn't forgive them because I couldn't forget it. And it's not because I did it. I know that God's helped me with those ones, right? Which is God's helped me forget, which is I can see that person and not be triggered by like that experience anymore, and not feel anxiety about seeing them or whatever, not be worried about that. I can see that person and see them like normal, like before. And until that happens, which is I've forgotten about it. And it's hard, eh? Like, it's not to say that like it's easy. It is so hard to forget. That's what I mean. I think it's easy to forget, which is like, yeah, okay, I won't hold a grudge anymore. But the hard thing is to forget about that experience altogether and see that person the way you used to before that. I think until you get to that point, then you still have work to do. And I'm saying that to myself because I know that's where I am still, which is in the gap of forgiving and trying to forget. Forgetting is incredibly difficult, but I think until you get to that point, the forgiveness is still in progress.
Mm-hmm.
So true. It's like an emotional attachment. Like how do you forget about something like that? How do you really move from that place of wanting to, I know, like everyone wants to forget that, forget that feeling and that, at that time, but then how do you do that? Like,
can I make a comment about that? It's funny because I was like, give me, you guys are talking, and in my head I'm like, Heavenly Father, give me some not serious ones, not serious scenarios, eh? Not the happy ones. Sorry, guys, not ready for that. But I thought about this. I think this is what I would say in response to that, Gladys. You said, how do you forget? Because it is hard to forget, right? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, that's what I was.
And this is what I meant.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean, and I'll share an experience. This is what I meant by empathy. So I'll give you a not serious scenario. Not from the unspeakable. Sorry, we're not up to that chapter. I thought about this was maybe not last year, the year before. So this lady at my work, she made a comment to some students, and the students told me, because they know I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, commonly known as Mormons. So the lady said, and she's a very hearty Catholic lady, because I work at a Catholic school. She said to the kids, "Oh, the Mormons, they're a cult." And then the kids, knowing that I am, came straight to me then as soon as they could and said, "Miss, this person said this." And I was really salty, being the stupid idiot that I am. Like, I wrote a status on Facebook, forgetting that I have Catholic friends. I wrote, head of RE teacher. I'm just like, my people might watch this, my colleagues might watch this. Oh well. Head of RE said, like, what is it? Mormons are a cult. And then I wrote #FightMe. And then all the members were commenting, making funny comments. And then I forgot that I was friends with she's a lady, she's a very devout Catholic. She used to be at our school, but she changed. She blasted me on the status. She wrote this "This is so unprofessional," blah blah blah, like that. And I felt really embarrassed. So I deleted the whole status. And then she messaged me the next morning to blast me again. And I just gave her the same. In my head, that was justified. I'm like, don't ever come for my religion. Especially in the situation we're in. So then that was not last year, the year before. And last year, this is the funny thing about life. The same lady that made that comment. So I kind of had a low-key grudge against that person, because I was like, you don't understand my religion, kind of thing. And then there was we had some sort of after school, where everyone had we had some food. And then after everybody had gone, I was just helping tidy up. That lady was there. And that's the first time I ever really spoke to her. She stood there for a good half an hour and gave me the lowdown of her life. And all I felt in that moment when she was talking to me was that I just felt empathy. I not felt sorry, that's not the right word. I felt oh, I understand. Now I get why you're like that. Now I get why you called my religion a cult. Not that it makes it okay, but it was my whole perspective on this person shifted. I didn't see her how I saw her before. After that first interaction and kind of hearing her story, I realized that everybody has one, and that that's what I mean by empathy, is that what helped me to forget about that silly situation, that silly thing. It was silly, but I think this applies to a lot of situations like that, which is we hold whatever because it hurt us. Is that if you will, that was just set up. That wasn't, I didn't go out of my way. And I love what you guys shared, because a lot of you have gone out of your way to, or you pushed past the uncomfortable stuff to get to the resolution. That just presented itself in a way that I could recognize that I was looking at the situation wrong. And it's like someone said this earlier, you can't control what anybody else does. You can only control you. And often what will happen, as life would have it, or more so God would have it, is like you'll be presented with situations to choose to see that person differently. The choice is always yours, though. If like you have opportunity to maybe get to know and figure out and have empathy and realize, okay, maybe I can change the way I see this, or you can choose not to. But the choice is always yours. The choice is always mine, which is to choose to see them the way, like, to shift the way you think about them, that will allow you to get to the part where you can forgive and eventually, however long it takes, forget. I've forgotten about that situation because I now understood or saw the person and understood what that person was about. I didn't harbor that silly little grudge I had. That's a silly example, but you get what I'm saying, which is,
Yeah.
how do you forget? I think you take the chance when God gives it to figure out or see things the way it really is. And once you take that chance, you will eventually get to the place where you can move on and forget rather than just forgive and then
Nice.
I really liked what you shared, because we don't know the hearts of those that offend us, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what's
Right.
going on. Sometimes that's enough, right? But sometimes they could just be like real eggs about it, and do it on purpose. But to help out with Gladys's question about how do you forget, something that I learned in my life is that if that person or your relationship with that person, if it's something you want to keep, you will learn to forget it if they're more important than the problem or the things that happen. And it, like you said, it's so hard, right? But it will happen if that's your desire to keep that person as a friend or as a spouse. Like, it's more important. They will become more important than the thing that happened. And though it's hard, the trial is so hard and you don't know how long it's going to take, but you have a desire to keep them in your life, you will, alongside with prayer, soon forgive and truly forget it. Because there's nothing worse than saying, I forgive you, and then you have an argument and you bring it up, right? There's nothing worse than that. Yeah.
No, and I just want to comment real quick about that is, wait, what did you say, Sandy? I saw Gladys's hand go up like that, and I thought she was gonna talk. My thought left. What did you just say?
I said that if you want to keep that person or that relationship in your life, you will learn to forget it because they're more important than the problem that happened. I was gonna say about like there's a quote.
I think I know which quote you're gonna use.
Never let a problem to be solved become more important than a person to be loved.
Nice.
That's funny, Fussy, because that's actually the quote that my husband always uses, like in his talk, everything, and like he uses it, like, you know, when we have a problem, he always says to me, like, you know, this is small, this is minor. Never let the small little problem become more important than a person to be loved. And I like that. You know, it's as simple as that quote is. It's very true. And touch base on what Sani said. Why let that small little problem become more, you know, than you loving that person, you truly getting to know that person, and just I like that.
Oh, that's the thing I was gonna say was that I think us when Sani was saying it's really hard, and I thought, yeah, man, it is really hard, and you need like help from a higher power to achieve that sort of forgiveness, because it is not something that we just wake up and go, oh, I'm forgiven and we're all good. Some of you may have that experience, but for most of us, normal human people, human beings, it's hard. And it's hard because I think it was designed to be that way, which is you need help from a higher power to accomplish that godly trait of real forgiveness. You need help from God.
Especially
like that.
It's not small. Something big like infidelity. right? When your spouse cheats on you, that's not small, and it takes a lot of time to come back. If you want to hold on to the marriage, like I said, you do, just like Ossie said, you need help from up top, left, right, center, like to assist you, yeah, to get through it, yeah. So
can I just say that when I was going through that process of forgiving, one good thing that helped me to know that it was done was I could walk away from that, and I felt, I don't know, some people would say this burden lifted, some people would say it felt really good in my heart, but that journey, man, it's made me be the person that I am today, to be honest. I just don't, yeah. That was the biggest thing that ever happened to me in my life. I've never experienced that. Like, we talk about our families. Family's family to me, to be honest. I can't speak for anyone else, but family, we're not perfect in our families. And yeah, we're going to rub each other the wrong way. We're going to do things that hurt each other. But at the end of the day, that's your family. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I think, for my own self. When it comes to me and my siblings, yeah, man, we had stuff, but it's stuff that I know that we can get over because we're family.
What I noticed in our conversation tonight is that forgiveness is like it's like a knife. Okay, that's a bad metaphor, probably. No, like, it's like what I keep hearing as I was listening to you guys share your experiences was that not forgiving doesn't hurt the person that you're like hurt about, right? Not forgiving someone doesn't hurt them, it hurts you. And so, like, as you guys were sharing and stuff, and like as we all talked about it, I realized that in order for us to forgive for ourselves, it's for yourself. Like, the other person probably doesn't even know you feel that way for maybe some of the situations. But like holding whatever you got against them is like you drinking poison and not them. Like, like, it doesn't do you any good. And it is difficult. Like, I don't say that to say just hurry up and forgive to all of us. I'm just saying that I realize that the power to forgive has always been ours. And so I think it's important to state that, because we're never powerless in the situation when it comes to forgiveness. We have all the power, which is, it is a decision we choose when we choose it to exercise our agency and power to forgive others so that we can be at peace. I think it's for us. It's not for the other person, although they may need the forgiveness. But forgiveness is a process that would relieve you the most of whatever it is you're carrying. So let go. We'll see.
I like that. We've talked about forgiving and forgetting, especially if that person if you would like to keep them in their lives. But I also want to honor the very heavy stuff. And sometimes you can forgive and leave the relationship, and it's for the better for both of you, right? Especially in cases like domestic violence, right? If something heavy like that happens, and like Ossie said, you can start your journey to forgive that person, because it's not only about them, but it's also about you moving on. But you can, at the same time, choose to leave if it's going to help you and your children or your family. Sometimes that is the answer, that a marriage does break up because of that situation. And if that's the case, and if that's what God has told you, that it's okay to leave. Maybe you've tried so many times to hold on to this marriage, or maybe you've tried to hold on to this family, but it's not working. If it's making you feel a certain way or destroying you inside, then it's not worth staying. And I think that's just something that has just come to mind, that we do go through things, but we also honor those that have gone through hardships and have stayed. And their marriage, I'm talking about marriage because we've gotten a lot of people who have sent us private messages asking to talk about forgiveness because they've gone through situations where their spouses have been unfaithful, or they've gone through situations where they've gone through domestic violence. You know, if that's the case, and if in the situation that you've prayed and fasted and the answer is that you need to leave the marriage, then if that's what God has told you, you can leave and still forgive that person, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I think just to touch base on that one too, Zini, it's good that you bring that one up, because like I can somewhat kind of relate to it, not the whole infidelity. Don't worry, Flippers didn't cheat on me. All I'm saying, all I'm saying, I know. I hope he's not watching. All I can say is that, you know, let's just say there've been, you know, no marriage is perfect, and don't get me wrong, it's really hard. It's hard work, and there've been situations where my husband has done, you know, has done things where have been questionable, and you know, may come off as a little dodgy, or to me, like I've questioned and doubted, and like I found that after I was able to forgive whatever, you know, he'd done to make me feel that way, I found that like it's really important to, like, once you've forgiven that situation, it's good to leave it behind. Don't ever bring it up. And that one thing I noticed with Pacific Islanders, you know, when you're angry, let's say it's another argument or something, another disagreement, and you bring it up and you bring up their past, or you hold that against them and you use it on them, like I find that that's really does their head in, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy for any relationship. And I've come to realize over the time with marriage that it's tough, like, you know, and I'm still working on that today, like to not always think of what happened in the past or what he done, or like think negative. I just try to think like I've passed that, I've forgiven him, now I need to learn to forget about it. And I like how you said that, Fusi, you know, it's, you really know you've forgiven that person when you've truly forgotten about it and you're in a good place. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Makes sense, sis. Makes sense.
Something
That's
that
a real touchy subject for me. I've experienced that personally. Abuse and all that. Yeah. Very, very, very close family. 10 years of it. Not pretty. Not pretty at all. And it's, when I think about that person and how that person came out of all of that, and how that person could be so forgiving, because it hurt not just that person, it hurt all of us to our core. So yeah, that's a real hard one. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for saying that, Zini. Yeah, something I don't really like to touch base on when you've watched that go on for so long.
if you've watched this talk show, you will notice that we rely heavily on God. Doesn't matter what the topic is, the thing that's constant is that we know that there's a higher source, and we rely on his knowledge, his love, his mercy to guide us. And so what I really love about this talk show is that it's not your average talk show like every other talk show, is that you know, they talk about things that they go through, and you talk to other people and you get help, and that's good and that's needed. But we turn to God for everything, and we tell him what we're going through. And sometimes God is quiet, and sometimes he takes a while to answer, and it's not because he's left us, right? He hasn't left us. It's just that he wants us to learn something about ourselves. And that's what I've learned. It's so annoying because it's like, okay, let's, can you help me please? You know, but the quietness is that I want you to learn something about you, and I've always learned that, man, I'm not patient. Man, I need to be a bit more soft-hearted. I need to be a bit more loving, and I learned that through my trials. I don't learn that through my successes. I learn it through all the pain that I go through, and that's what's helped me. So I really love that we've all spoken about God, and you're right, Fosi, like, how does he do it? There's a quote, I can't remember who quoted it, but it said that all God has ever had to work with is imperfect people. If he can do it, then we can do it as well.
If there's some advice or a lesson that you've learned from forgiveness that you would share with someone, what would that be? And so we'll go Irene, Saini, Fosi, and then Gladys. Sorry.
What can I say, guys? Love yourself. Because only through loving yourself and with the help of Heavenly Father can you learn to forgive yourself as well. It's me.
Sorry, Abe, what was it?
So if there's some parting words about forgiveness, so a lesson you've learned or something that you would tell someone about forgiveness that is important to you.
I think charity, the word charity comes to mind, because I know that because of the things that I've learned about God and who he is, my life would be so hard if I knew that he didn't forgive me and he didn't forget. So in that sense, I have to do better. Like in the past shows, you know better, so you do better. And I know that God forgives, and I know that he forgets. So who am I to not forgive and forget? And yes, there is that quote, we are human. Yes, we are human, but we are human with knowledge that there is a God who has set the example for us. Now we have to follow, no matter how hard it is. And it is hard, especially when people wrong us. It's hard to forgive, but we have to remember that if the higher source can do it, that we can do it as well.
Just humility, the word humility comes to play. Humbling yourself to know that, you know, you can forgive that person, and just praying for humility to humble myself so that I can be a better person in order to forgive and then also forget.
Okay, I got my sentence.
Okay.
Forgiveness is a miracle that can be accomplished with God's eyes and someone else's shoes.
I think mine from tonight would be forgiveness. Sometimes we think of forgiveness as forgiving other people, but it was said tonight that forgiveness is really a gift for us as well, to just let go and be free. So freeing ourselves from things that may be weighing us down, but it really is a power of freedom for us to move forward from things that may be holding us back slightly. So we thank you for joining us tonight, and we hope that you've been able to take something from what has been said. If there's a challenge from tonight, it would be to take some time to reflect on your own life and see if you do have things that are holding you back. And if sometimes you may need to just have a think if there's someone you need to forgive, or if there's something you need to forgive within yourself. But that's our episode tonight, and this is A Righteous Woman, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.